Look at a perfect strategic business diagnosis. Management consultants can locate bottlenecks and map cost structures with absolute precision, yet 70% of these solutions fail to materialize. The binders just sit on desks. This is the execution gap. An organization knows exactly what operational disease it has, but lacks the clinical methodology to actually perform the surgery. You see this play out most clearly when a factory fails to meet customer demand. The immediate executive reaction is a panic over capacity limits. The first flawed instinct is to mandate working harder. Management authorizes massive overtime, pushing the workforce to the brink to pump out volume. The second, far more expensive instinct is to throw capital at the problem. Executives assume the answer lies in purchasing high-end Industry 4.0 technology to automate their way out of the bottleneck. This simulation shows what actually happens. On the left, an advanced robotic arm runs at maximum speed. That because the underlying workflow is flawed, raw materials pile up at the input and defects multiply at the output. This is automated waste. Upgrading to Industry 4.0 technology without first fixing fundamental Industry 2.0 disorganization does not solve your capacity problem. It merely accelerates the speed at which you generate waste. To truly scale an organization, leaders have to stop confusing technological band-aids with root cause operational cures. You need a first principles approach. Consider Siam Polyplast, an industrial SME that was chronically failing to deliver injection-molded products on time. Looking at the delivery failures, the CEO formed a mental model. They assumed the primary bottleneck was the age and baseline speed of their current machinery. The proposed solution was a 15 million baht capital expenditure to buy the latest AI-driven European injection molding machines. That expensive assumption directly contradicts the immutable mathematics of industrial productivity. This equation shows the actual relationship. Productivity equals output divided by input. When you execute a 15 million baht purchase, the input denominator swells massively with capital. Unless your output scales astronomically to match, your actual productivity drops. True lean productivity operates on different vectors. The first is maximizing output while keeping the input, like your existing machines and labor, completely static. The second vector is maintaining your current output perfectly to match customer demand, while systematically reducing the input of raw materials, energy, and time. True productivity is not about buying capacity. It is about optimizing these ratios to work smarter. To test the CEO's assumption, the consulting team executed a Genba walk, the practice of going directly to the physical place where work happens to verify the data. They halted the 15 million baht purchase order and walked down to the Siam Polyplast floor to observe the actual process. The root cause was immediately apparent. The existing machines were not too slow. Their active uptime was catastrophically low. This timer tracks the first localized failure. Every time a mold needed changing, the machine sat idle for 3 hours. That downtime was compounded by operators wandering the floor, searching for scattered tools. This specific behavior is a complete failure of basic 5S organizational principles. Furthermore, they found an 8% defect rate in the finished products. The cause wasn't mechanical wear, it was neglected cleaning of the machine's cooling pipes. That is a direct lack of total productive maintenance, or TPM. This proves the fatal flaw in the CEO's plan. If they had bought the 15 million baht AI machine, it still would have spent 3 hours waiting for unorganized mold changes, and it still would have produced 8% defects due to dirty pipes. The return on investment would be 0. This graphic displays the 3-step execution framework required to actually bridge the execution gap and fix foundational issues. Step 1 is awareness and urgency. Management must transparently expose the downtime problem to the whole team. Crucially, exposing these defects must be done purely to solve the system, strictly without penalizing or blaming the operators. Step 2 is strategic alignment, or Hoshin Kanri. The CEO's high-level goal of increasing capacity has to connect directly to the floor workers' specific metric of reducing changeover time. Without this alignment, you fall into a classic trap, forcing operators to produce massive, unneeded batches just to artificially lower the per-unit cost. That only ties up cash and creates warehouse waste. Step 3 is the actionable framework. This means dropping the exact right lean tool onto the exact root cause. At Siam Polyplast, the precise lean intervention applied was SMED. single-minute exchange of die. The mechanics of SMED involve establishing standard work protocols. Every movement during a changeover is carefully choreographed and optimized. On the floor, this meant building dedicated, hyper-organized carts stocked with the exact tools needed, positioned specifically for mold changeovers. This chart tracks the primary result. The time required for a changeover collapsed from 3 hours down to just 45 minutes. The secondary result followed immediately. By implementing proper TPM cleaning protocols, the defect rate plummeted from 8% down to 1%. The total capital expenditure required to achieve this massive capacity increase was zero. Applying structural alignment and targeted lean frameworks directly at the gemba solves million-dollar capacity problems with $0 interventions. The ultimate lesson of Siam Polyplast is that true productivity is a system-level optimization. It is not a mandate for forced labor, nor is it a blank check for new technology. This equation demonstrates what happened mathematically. By drastically reducing the input denominator, specifically time and waste, the productivity metric mechanically drives upward. Before initiating any operational overhaul, executives must look through the Shindan-Shi lens, a diagnostic checklist. First, are you sure you are addressing a root cause and not just treating a symptom? Second, have you clearly separated what creates value in the eyes of the customer versus what is purely internal process waste? Third, is top management actively sponsoring the project by walking the gemba themselves, or are they just signing budget approvals from an office? If the CEO doesn't treat the intervention as a vital, visible company mandate, the project will die on the floor. Mastering this definition of productivity is critical, but it is only step one on the journey to operational excellence. The next intellectual barrier is widespread executive confusion regarding 3 fundamentally different metrics. Far too often, leaders use these 3 concepts interchangeably: productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness. In the next module, we will explore why being highly efficient at executing the completely wrong task makes an organization completely ineffective.